This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For more information and our full disclosure, please visit ncmidwifery.com and our podcast page. Well, welcome back to More About Birth. We're here with our hosts, Shannon, Bennett, and Angie, Hansen. We thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Ladies?
Hi. So in this segment, we are going to cover childbirth education.
Yeah.
So, back in my day, in the early 80s, when I was having my first baby.
Did you just give up your age on podcast?
No, you don't know how old I was. I was 14.
She was 10.
I was 14.
Back when Shannon was 20, she's 36 now.
And a few. About 20 few.
Oh, you just gave
So
up.
I did. Be quiet.
Okay.
Let me talk. Listen. Back in the early 80s, childbirth education was like a rite of passage. You got pregnant and you were excited that you got to take childbirth classes.
That's right.
I don't see that anymore. We've had a huge decline, and I have to wonder if it isn't because we have a higher, planned C-section rate. We have a higher rate of moms planning to have medicated births, and no judgment there. I just think that could be a reason that it's declined. Also, people are busy. We are busier and busier than we have ever been. And I'm finding for even my clients in their, late 20s, 30s, they do not have time to do this childbirth class every week for 6 weeks straight, 2 hours every Monday night. It just doesn't fit in their schedule. So what we've gone to do for our childbirth classes is we have one childbirth class for 4 hours on a Saturday with like a potluck lunch in between. And then we have another class 2 days later on a Monday night for 2 hours. And it seems to work perfect along with the education that happens prenatally during our appointments. Yep. So that's working pretty well. And nowadays you can do classes online. There's Zoom classes. There's pre-recorded classes that you can purchase. You can purchase manuals and do it on your own at home.
Yeah.
But I know we've talked about that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, don't get me started.
Don't get her started.
Johnny, my husband, and I talk a lot about this issue and how the prenatal education, self-education, I should say, is very lacking because of all the reasons you mentioned. Part of it is we're just not as much of a reading society as we used to be.
Totally. It's YouTube videos.
Yeah, people are very
Google.
busy, but I really firmly believe, and so does he, because we've talked about this, that planning for the birth of a baby, even if it's not your first, kind of needs to be a full-time job. Now, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but take it seriously.
It's got to be a priority.
It has to be a priority, and it's kind of like having a baby is taking on a new job. And so planning for that event, and not just the event of the labor, but postpartum as well, it really should require some thought and time more than you would imagine.
I don't know where it is, but I heard the illustration. It's like running a marathon. So you would obviously train before you run a marathon.
Exactly.
And if you've never run one before, if this is your first marathon, and I did a 100-mile bike ride for 3 days, and I was so freaked out about it. I trained for days. I think that's the missing.
His rear end still hurt.
My point is that don't you think it's true that people don't understand that they're about to run a marathon? If it's their first baby, if it's your second, you have a better idea.
Right.
And I think you've probably noticed this too, but I've noticed that our clients, the ones who have read a lot, have asked a lot of questions, the ones who came to childbirth classes live, not the Zoom classes that we've had to do, because I'm not seeing the same results with that, but the ones who've read, come to the live classes. They ask a lot of questions. The partners are really involved. They are the ones that are having the slick labors. They're the ones that are, just riding right through it.
So we're going to talk about why that might be. I mean, that's interesting data.
I have a theory. I first of all, I feel like the Zoom, it's almost like you're a spectator, or if you're watching a class online, you're still getting good information, but you're not engaged. You're not a participant.
Yep.
And there's something about participating and the interaction with the other couples in the class. And I
Yes.
know you wanted to mention something about that.
Yeah, well, it's hard I understand it's hard in our current situation that
Yeah.
you can't always get together in person, but ideally you get together with other couples that are heading into the same event. There's a community that happens.
There's a connection.
There's such an encouragement too. You look around and you see all these people are planning for this. They're taking it seriously. They're feeling positive about having a natural birth. They're feeling like they can do this, and they're really planning for it. So I think that there's just nothing that can replace that in-person connection. It
You're
really
right.
builds that community.
And even if you're not having a natural birth, I feel like you still really need childbirth education, because you need to be educated about what happens once you get to the hospital and what different things you need to make decisions about, and what it's going to look like afterwards, and what normal newborn behavior is. And you need education about breastfeeding. So it's not even just for planned natural birth.
Right, exactly. And I think that the childbirth classes, the good ones, do an excellent job of preparing parents for postpartum. We've seen a huge difference in our clients, like you said, in the people that have taken it and that haven't it, not just for the birth, but for the postpartum, for the nursing, for, the big job that this is going to be, recovering and taking care of this baby. So I think the classes do an excellent job.
Well, I think it gives people the knowledge that they need. It gives them the tools that they need. It helps them understand what choices they have. They can be informed and make informed choices. And then there was a study that I ran into, 2016, the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine. They saw a 25% increase in vaginal births, not necessarily unmedicated, but in vaginal successful births in people that attended childbirth education classes.
Wow.
And that was just a few years ago.
So just for a second, so obviously this is 2021 early, this podcast, for those that are listening after, we originally released it. So there's a lot of circumstances now where a lot of people are doing Zoom. They are doing face-to-face on their laptops and their iPads and their iPhones. So do you think that it would help for them to do more one-on-one if they can't go to a live class? If they just can't get to a live class?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think so. And, even if you can't, there wasn't anything like that offered when I had my first baby. But I tell you what, we studied and we read and we planned and we prepared like it was a full-time job. And it made a huge difference. I mean, so even if you're not able to connect with other people in person or even online,
and I think it takes the fear out of it too. And you know that fear causes anxiety, and anxiety does not help us at all in labor. So the more you know, and the more you understand, the more comfortable you are with it. Yep. So the less fear and anxiety there.
So they could tune into this podcast. They could not, what I'm thinking is some people would just pull back and not engage, not have
because of our current situation.
Yeah. So I think to encourage them to don't let that stop you from, like Angie's saying, is that there needs to be more education. So however you get that.
So we offer once a quarter. So let's see, January, April, July, and October, typically, we have a series of childbirth classes that we teach. We've had to have a few on Zoom. We'll see how it looks going forward. We were able to have one in person recently. So do you want to talk to them a little bit about what we cover, like in the basic childbirth class?
Yeah, sure. So, we cover the mechanics of labor, like what is it? What happens? There's some really cool videos with that. And I think that probably everybody comes and learns something about the mechanisms of labor that they didn't already know, which is really cool.
Yeah, we've had parents attend that have had 3-4 babies, and they said, it'd be kind of fun to come. It's been years. And they said, wow, I actually learned something new.
Yeah.
And it's really interactive. We try not to just be like this talking head up there giving you info. There's, games and competitions.
Yeah.
There's visuals, things to hold, touch, and feel, things to try. There's
Yeah, one of my favorite parts is towards the beginning, we have people do a little artwork, just simple, like 10 minutes or so, about what they think labor is going to be like. This is really, really fun. And then
It's
each
very
couple,
telling.
it really is. And each couple gets to go around and, hold up their artwork and share what they drew and why and what their thoughts of labor are going to be like, that sort of thing. And it's really fun. I
It's
think it's
really
insightful.
interesting.
I love the hands-on and the
Yeah.
visual contraction education that you guys do. And
Visual contraction.
yeah, so you have the ice, right? I love
Right.
the ice, which is
Right.
interactive, and I love the fact that you use the TENS unit.
Yeah. And so after the basic class, of course, it covers all that you mentioned.
Covers postpartum. It covers breastfeeding. There's a
Normal
whole segment
newborn
on
behavior.
breastfeeding. Yep.
What's normal, what's not. It's just a lot of fun. And then sharing lunch together is great. We've had people say, hey, can we get together afterwards, after we've all had our babies and just say hi as a follow-up. So then the Monday, a couple days later, we have a 2-hour class called Natural Pain Relief for Labor. And this is the one I feel like really, really empowers the dads.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that one.
Guy power, I love it.
Guy power?
Yeah, this is a super fun
It's
class.
fun.
We get out all our tricks and tools, the massage tools, the essential oils, so many things that people
All
can come
kinds
up
of
and
stuff.
try. But people get up and move around. They try different positions.
Yes.
They try the hip squeeze. Dads get to massage mamas and find out what they like,
Counter pressure.
what they don't like. They make a list. There's a chart they can mark down. Oh, I really like this. I want this for labor. But yeah, I think the dads get to be involved and they feel like, okay, this is my part of the labor.
When
This
I
is
can
what
honestly
can
say,
do.
I wish I had that class when I was having my children, because I didn't have really any education.
But even without it, you were a great labor coach.
Woohoo! Yay!
You were a
bonus
great
points.
labor coach.
But not as good as I would have been if I'd actually known some of those techniques, because I had no clue.
I had a dad write me a letter and he told me I could share it. So I'm going to have to post that on the webpage. And he just explained in tears, he said,
Wow.
how it made him feel after 2 births to finally be able to be a part of this birth and know that he played a role.
That's
That
so
he didn't
cool.
have to just sit there and watch her going through it, but he went through it with
When
her.
I told you
That's
growing
special.
up, I got lots of opportunities to watch my dad work, and it's not the same when you actually have the wrench in your hand.
That's
and
right.
I felt like that husband as well, that I didn't get a chance to participate in this thing that we spent so much energy getting ready for, right? There's so much focus. And then the event comes and I'm like,
Now
I
what
don't
do I
know.
do?
That's why I tried to be a good coach and tried to be encouraging, but I wish that I had those tools.
Is that why so many guys take naps during labor and say, wake me up when it's time?
Oh no. Yeah, and the other thing that we find with the childbirth classes is I think you actually end up getting more out of your prenatals leading up to your
Yes.
birth. And part of that is because if we answer so many questions about labor and birth and getting ready for labor, what the start of labor is going to be like. We answer questions about, like you said, healthy newborns, what's normal, even though it looks a little bit scary.
Right.
Anyways, and so all these things, and then if you haven't taken the class, you're going to come to your prenatals, whether it's with us or whoever, and be asking those same questions. And of course, we want you to ask them if you have them, but we spend more time answering those that could have been answered already than talking about other concerns you may have had.
How you're feeling, what
right.
position the baby's in,
Yes.
fun things,
Yes.
So what you're saying is if they take the classes, then they get more advanced care really when
I
they
think
get
so.
with you, because they've already had this
Yeah.
they've already had the 101. Now they get to have better
102.
education. They get 102.
Exactly. Yes.
So
Exactly.
by birth 3, you can actually tell them some of the stuff that you don't even know the answers
Hey,
to.
by birth 3 or 4, we just sit and have a cup of tea for an hour at the prenatal and
Yes.
There
talk.
you go.
Woo!
High five each other because you already know what's going on.
And sometimes, honestly, I'll get a mom that's drinking her tea and she's just like, say, well, I think that's all we have to do today. Do you have anything? And she'll be, nope. And she just sits there longer and drinks her tea
Yeah.
in the massage chair.
in the massage chair.
Right. Right. These are the seasoned,
Yeah.
the veteran moms.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
if you want information on the classes that Angie and I offer, you can go to ncmidwifery.com and we'll post when the next series is. And you can just contact us through there if you don't see anything up on the board. And shoot us an email and we'll give you the information on when the next one is, how it's going to be presented, and the cost.
Yeah. And if it's not here, guys, go out and find one online, or ask somebody that knows, that's a seasoned mom, about what you should be studying and what you should prepare for, because it's important.
Great childbirth educators here in town. There's someone doing hypnobirthing. And I heard there was someone doing birthing from within now.
Oh, nice.
Don't have that name yet, but I'll look that up. So let us know if you guys are interested in that. And I think that wraps up this section. We will be back at you with a podcast on going over a birth plan step by step.
Woohoo!
And how to go about that and the important topics.
Sounds great.
All right. We'll see you guys next
See
time.
ya.
Well, thanks, Shannon and Angie, for that great conversation about childbirth classes, as well as what's coming up. We also will be going remote here in the next couple weeks, so stay tuned for our next More About Birth episode. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For more information and our full disclosure, please visit ncmidwifery.com and our podcast page.